Hey everybody, it's Connor. Welcome back. And today I want to talk about this tree of thoughts prompt. And it is officially a research paper.
Researching.
If something is officially a research paper, first of all, you know it's probably going to be pretty interesting. But even better, this was done by Google's DeepMind and Princeton, a collaboration by those big brains. So you know that this is going to be really cool. Okay, let's get into this. Here's the general idea behind the tree of thoughts prompt. Imagine a forest with lots of paths going all these different ways, and you're a hiker and you're just trying to get to that magical clearing to have that magical picnic. I guess I don't like picnics, so I can't really relate to that. But as a hiker, you're going to have to take those paths one by one and get to the end and see if it leads there, and if not, come all the way back.
I was hiking.
I love hiking.
That's sort of how ChatGPT tends to generally work. You follow a path all the way down, and if it's not the answer or result that you want, that's okay. You just have to backtrack a little bit. The tree of thoughts prompt is different. It's almost like sort of splitting yourself into a bunch of different hikers and all exploring different trails at the same time. So in a way, it's much more efficient, but also just an interesting way to compare and contrast different paths as you're going into them. Now, my favorite part about this is that's really much more how the human brain works. You really think about a lot of different things. You don't just kind of take one possible solution and walk it all the way to the end and then backtrack. You're sort of jumping around between different solutions and weighing the pros and cons of each one as you go. And I love that about that, because for me, again, the whole thing is treat this like a human. And this allows it to act more like a human.
Let's get started!
We're going to test drive this tree of thoughts prompt by asking ChatGPT to help us purchase a used car from a dealer. And if you've ever done that, oh my gosh, nightmare. So we are going to say, hi, I'm planning to buy a used car from a dealership and want to negotiate the best price. Please brainstorm 3 distinct negotiation strategies considering factors like the car's condition, market value, and the seller's situation. Each strategy should be a different approach, and please give each strategy a name. There are 3 distinct strategies for negotiating the price of a used car. So you see 3 strategies, like the hikers in the woods. Market Maven. In this approach, you thoroughly research the market value of the car you're interested in. This involves checking the average prices. Number 2 is condition cognizance strategy. And this strategy focuses on the car's condition as the primary factor for negotiation. So before visiting the dealership, learn about common issues with the specific make of the car. And the third approach is the seller scenario strategy. This one focuses on the seller's situation. I hadn't really thought about that one. This is to understand the dealership's motivation and to use that to your advantage. For example, if it's the end of the month, I don't know if you guys have heard of that kind of strategy. The salesperson might be trying to meet a sales quota, etc. Great, thank you. Now, please evaluate the pros and cons of each of these strategies, taking into consideration everything you know about human behavior and especially the behavior and motivation of used car salespeople. Market Maven strategy. Dealerships respect well-informed buyers. This is the pros. You're less likely to be taken advantage of. 2, this is the second strategy, this condition cognizance strategy. And the pros, it allows you to negotiate based on tangible, concrete issues. It sort of already pointed all that out, but the cons is interesting too, right? It requires knowledge about cars and mechanics. And then on the third, the seller scenario strategy, yes, it can give you an advantage if the seller is motivated to meet these sales quotas, et cetera, et cetera. It can help create a more personal connection with that salesperson. But the cons, it requires a good understanding of the dealership, business model, and sales tactics. But now you see that we have actually laid out the pros and cons of each one of these things. So instead of the single hiker tracking down this one path and figuring out the pros and cons and then tracking back, you're doing all of these things at once, which again is much more like how the human brain functions. Now, please act as a master negotiator and determine which is the best of these. That's step 1, meaning now you're going to ask ChatGPT, having sort of done the steps itself, to really figure out which one of these is the steps based on the very evidence that it has just presented. And then, I like this, then provide a script or other useful information to prepare me to negotiate the best price of a used car. I always think actually this is really helpful to create this script because it really understands people and it understands how both parties will be reacting. So I actually really like this. So it involves a mix of these 3 approaches. You'll want to know all that, blah, blah, blah. But then step 1, you'll want to research. And step 2, of course, you're going to understand the car's condition, all that kind of stuff. But here's the interesting part to me, the script for negotiation. So are you interested in this car? Yes, I've done quite a bit of research on this model. And it seems, I don't know why I'm talking like that. But it's really cool, right? It gives you sort of a sense. And negotiation is all about keeping your heart rate low, all about what to expect from the other person. So what's so great about what ChatGPT is doing here is that it is preparing you for this kind of conversation, and it is preparing you for what a script could look like. And I find this to be an enormous help. Okay, so we've seen how ChatGPT can negotiate really anything. Put anything in here. It's an amazing negotiation tool, and I think will really help you in your negotiation strategies. And now, look, if you're already done, you can turn the video off here, but I am just going to use this to try to figure out what to do in a zombie apocalypse. Hi, I have a problem. A zombie apocalypse is happening. Can you brainstorm 3 distinct survival strategies considering factors like resources, location, and human behavior? Absolutely, of course you can. While the zombie apocalypse is hypothetical, yeah. Okay, number 1, the fortress strategy involves in finding a defensible location, fortifying it, relying on stored resources, considers resources, location, and human behavior, just like I asked it to. Number 2, the nomad strategy. This involves staying mobile, not staying in one place for too long. And then the community strategy. And this strategy involves creating or joining a larger group of survivors. I don't know if you've seen The Walking Dead, but this can go kind of badly. But the idea is that it's safety in numbers, and then resources. Communities can potentially harness resources, et cetera, and it goes through all 3 things again. So that's super useful. So let's now say, great, thank you. Now, please please evaluate the pros and cons of each of these strategies, taking into consideration everything you know about human behavior. Okay, certainly. Each strategy has its own advantages and disadvantages. Now, the pros and cons of a fortress: safety and security, resource management, stability, of course. The cons: resource depletion, attraction of threats, yes, social conflicts. Yeah, you're telling me. The nomad strategy has pros like being flexible, constantly on the move, adaptability, et cetera, exploitation of diverse resources. But the cons: insecurity, resources scavenging, again, Walking Dead, always going on a hunt for food and supply. Community strategy and the pros around that: shared responsibility and skills, etc., large resource acquisition, etc. But the cons: resource strains. If you've seen The Last of Us, you know exactly what we're talking about here. So now I say, and this is key, please act as a master survivalist and determine which is the best of these. Again, you're asking ChatGPT to give you options and then evaluate it. It's a really effective step-by-step process, no matter what you're doing with ChatGPT. As a survival expert, I generally lean toward the community strategies, and here are the reasons: diversified skills, shared workload, etc. So as you can see, ChatGPT, as long as we still have internet, is going to be outstanding at helping us all survive the zombie apocalypse. Okay, that's it. Thanks for sticking with it. I hope you enjoyed those demos, the negotiation demo, and then the zombie apocalypse demo, and I just couldn't help myself. Anyway, if you found this useful, as usual, please share with others, and as always, please subscribe to this channel. It's so encouraging. It allows me to keep on doing what I love doing here. That's all for now. See you next time.